Hello and welcome to this edition of Desert Warrior. I'm your host, Major Jan25. Behind me you see a view of Fort Bliss, where thousands of soldiers and family members spend the majority of their day at work or engaged in other activities. Daniela Vestal reports on how Fort Bliss trains quarterly to keep the population safe.
I will kill this guy and myself.
I will kill this guy and myself. Terrifying words no one ever wants to hear.
When I first saw the man with the gun coming, I was a little bit intimidated and scared about what was going to happen.
Luckily, this time, the words were only spoken as part of a multi-agency training exercise. With more than 50,000 soldiers and family members on and around Fort Bliss, keeping the peace often requires the cooperation of several agencies.
We took a location that had multiple jurisdictions on it, and we brought in multiple agencies that all had the opportunity that, depending on the dynamics of the incident, would have become the lead investigative agency for it.
Let me see your hands.
The exercise was designed to not only foster good working relationships, but to also meet specific training goals for each entity involved. The scenario began when a role player walked into a high school classroom looking to pick up his son. When the child was not there, the scene quickly escalated into the entire classroom being taken hostage and negotiations ensuing.
Okay, the same age as your son, right?
The hostage taker was played by a Criminal Investigative Division special agent to allow for focused training with the negotiators on the other end of the phone line.
Oh, it's great, man. I love it because I get to play with my counterparts. You know, I know what they can do. I know every aspect of the training. I can beat them up. I can play with them.
The students in the scenario came from a law enforcement magnet high school and were able to provide a level of realism that only actual teenagers can provide.
Typically, if you have the bad guy go down, then all the students are going to come running out of the classroom. What we were really testing was, did the SRT and the EPISD police have the wherewithal to control that flow of 20-some-odd teenagers running, screaming out every avenue of escape they could find.
The scenario called for the hostage taker to take the life of a child and then his own. But training did not end there, with the school needing to be secured, the crime scene processed, and the witnesses interviewed. Reporting from Fort Bliss, this is Daniela Vestal.
After the break, we'll see how soldiers from one finance unit keep their battle skills current.
Okay, everyone, we have a lot to cover this morning. Tim should be here any second with the latest budget numbers to take us through the initial schedule for production and...
Ow. This is one way to avoid getting the H1N1 flu virus.
Oh, whoopsie daisy. All right, good morning. Let's get this meeting started.
For some better ways, visit flu.gov.
Anyone have a tissue?
Welcome back. In addition to effectively performing their military occupational specialties, service members are also focused in maintaining proficient on their warrior tasks. Soldiers from the 4th Financial Management Company demonstrated their wartime skills during a convoy live fire exercise.
We are finance, but we're always soldiers first, so it's always good to be prepared.
The convoy live fire tested the unit's readiness by presenting all kinds of situations. Soldiers encountered scenarios they may face in theater, ranging from reacting to improvised explosive devices to calling for medical evacuation support.
I try to treat every situation as if it were actually happening or as if it were real, so of course we had to react accordingly, and we just handled what we had to do.
Gunners also honed their skills to minimize collateral damage.
We've been training a great deal on making sure we attain positive ID before we open fire and make sure that we have communication with the convoy commander to make sure that we have the green light to fire before we engage any good targets. So that's pretty much been the main thing focusing on. We've already qualified the weapons, we're familiar with the weapons, and it's just making sure that we're firing at the right targets at the right time.
The 142nd stood up less than a year ago, but has met and continues to meet the required timelines, reflecting their preparedness for deployment. And that does it for this edition of Desert Warrior. Until next time, stay safe. I'm Major Jan25. Thanks for watching.